Wednesday, people, of a number one forum for your Crimson Tide football news. The number one show on the streets, number one ticket for all things Bama. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen M. Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine, the hype man, bringing you your favorite program. We're streaming you the show on YouTube, coming to you from the magic city of Birmingham. Speaking of the YouTube channel, go ahead right now, give a thumbs up, give a like on the show. Hit that subscribe button, turn all of those notifications on, hit that little bell to make sure you are getting all the news, notes, information, and coverage on your favorite program, that being the Alabama Crimson Tide. Also, I got to shout out the shirt right now. Got to shout out the bling as I'm wearing on the 18 of them things folk t-shirt. So be sure to grab you an 18 of them things folk t-shirt supporting TDAwear.com and supporting the University of Alabama, as it does have 18 national championships. So happy to have each and every last one of you tuning into the show on today. As always, we got you covered also on Facebook and Twitter as well, streaming to you the show from all facets of social media. Gotta shout out my man John Ivor in the building one time, our producer extraordinaire, doing the ones and twos in that production studio. We got a lot to get to, a lot to discuss, a lot to bring to the conversation table, but we start things off by shouting out my man Jimmy Clay. Boom, baby, let's get the horn going. Bam, baby, Jimmy Clay, that $25 donation in the Super Chats, helping us out here already. That daily Super Chat go, people, $75. Daily Super Chat go. Appreciate the passion and the support that you, as the Crimson Tide fan base, show us every time we do this show. But we want to hear from you tonight, ladies and gentlemen. And you can do this by calling 205-448-1358. That is the number to let your voice be heard on the show, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. But we jump into now. First topic of conversation, and that is, the College Football Playoff Committee, members of national media, so many people have been talking about we need to expand the CFP. We need to expand the playoff to 12 teams. This needs to happen. The playoff has gotten boring. It's always the same old teams, the same old powers, the same old programs. We need to expand the playoff, get more teams in, create more chaos, create more opportunity, have more inclusion. People just love parity in sports. People tell you they love greatness. People tell you they love dominance. They're lying to you. People say, I love the Michael Jordan Chicago Bulls, but people didn't love the dominance that the Chicago Bulls and Michael Jordan had in the 90s, because Jordan and the Bulls kept other NBA franchises from winning championships. They kept other NBA superstars and legends and Hall of Famers from winning, eating, and even understanding what a championship looked like. People said, hey, I love Tom Brady when he was with the Patriots with Bill Belichick. Half of you couldn't stand Tom Brady. Why? You were tired of seeing Tom Brady win all the time. There came one point where a lot of us went, can Tom Brady just go? Can Bill Belichick just go? We're tired of seeing him win. We're tired of seeing him on top. It's the same thing with Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. A lot of people are like, will Nick Saban just go? Will he just get the heck out of here and retire? We're tired of seeing Saban on top. We're tired of seeing Alabama. Can somebody else do something? Can we see somebody else here take the reins? And I feel like that's the reason why so many people appreciate March Madness and college basketball, because not every single year a blue blood program will win the championship. Not every single year Kentucky or Duke or North Carolina or Villanova is going to win a championship. It's the same thing where softball is right now with the Women's College World Series. Not every year an Arizona or a UCLA is going to win. Sometimes you've got the SEC winning championships. Sometimes you have Florida State winning one. Of course, right now, a lot of fans are hoping that Florida State pulls it out over Oklahoma on this evening in the Champ Series. But the point being, people were like, we got to expand this thing to 12 teams because it's getting boring now. And let's be honest with ourselves for just a minute here. This same debate, this same argument this same conversation was happening with the BCS system. It was the exact same thing. When we had the BCS system where it was computers and not the human eye, when it was computers and not, able-bodied people, making these decisions, you guys went, the system's flawed, the computers are flawed, it's the same old teams, it's the same old programs. Let's get a human eye on this. Let's get, more so of individuals on this so we can have more teams and more programs, more schools with an opportunity, with the chance to really compete, get in here, and jump in this thing. And people complained about it and complained about it and complained about it till we said, okay, screw it, we'll do it then. And in 2014, we got a law-making body of people called the College Football Playoff Committee, and we put them in charge of, week by week, you are studying game tape, you are studying game film, you are watching these matchups, you are looking at the numbers, the data, the analytics, you are having meetings, discussing, debating, arguing, conversating over coffee, beer, or whatever it was the people were conversating over, and every time, or conversing over, as I should say, and every time there was a meeting, you had the one person go up and talk to the national media about this is why the committee did what they had to do. And even with that, the last 3 to 5 years, we are seeing these same old questions come up again. It's getting boring. We're looking like the BCS again. Still the same old teams. Still see Bama. Still see Clemson. Still see Ohio State. Still see Oklahoma. No other schools getting in. No other school has the opportunity. It's getting back boring. It's getting back predictable. We got to expand this thing again. Now, I am all for making college football exciting. I am all for more college football because I'm a consumer of the sport just like you guys are. I'm all for getting as many teams in, seeing how many teams can crash the party, all of those things. But in playing devil's advocate here for a minute, I'm also one for you better be able to do this thing well. If you're going to do it, if you're going to expand it, it better work. And it better work correctly because not everybody's going to be happy. At the end of the day, you're not going to please everybody. You're not going to appease everybody. Somebody's going to be mad at the end of the day. And let's just be honest here. It's been hard trying to get the best 4 teams in all the time. I mean, normally the top 3 seeds, you look at them and you say, okay, that team deserves it. That team deserves it. The third team deserves it. They've got great strength of schedule. They've been dominant. They've been incredible. They've been playing well on all 3 phases of the game. You can't deny that team. But then it seems like when you look at the 4th team, you're like, how in the heck did they get in here? How did they slip through the crack? What was their strength of schedule? How did this team get in here? And it's always a question of, can we get the best 4 teams in here? Because whether it's been Oklahoma the last few years or Notre Dame the last few years or Michigan State the second year of the playoff, it's always been that 4th team that gets beaten like a drum in the semifinal round, and you have loss of revenue, loss of ratings, loss of attention. It's boring. How in the Sam Hill did that team get in there? And going back to last year, Ohio State got in. And Ohio State only played 6 games. And, people said, well, they're a big-time brand. They're a name brand. They're a major program. They're a headline school. They pull in money. They pull in revenue, so we have to have them in. Ohio State, the Big Ten, canceled their season from the get-go, and then just because they saw the SEC, the Big 12, and the ACC continue on with their schedules, being able to maneuver through COVID, then the Big Ten and the Pac-12 went, oh, snap, we pulled the gun too soon. We moved too quick. Let's give our guys a season. But they only played 6 games. And you had Texas A&M with a much better case to get into the playoff. You had Cincinnati under Luke Fickell, who had a much better case for the playoff. But the law-making bodies that be chose Ohio State to get in there. So we have seen moments where with the 4 teams, it's hard to put the best 4 teams in because half the time the committee goes with the 4 teams most deserving versus the 4 best teams that need to be in here. So if we're already having problems and issues with the format that we already have, what makes you think expanding to 12 teams is going to be even better? Actually, it's going to make it even tougher. It's going to put more on the committee. It's going to put more film, more eyes, more pressure, more data, more analytics, more debates at the table that they have to continue to handle. Now, to me, I feel like if you're going to do this, you would expand to 6 teams, maybe 8 teams if you were going to do this. But if you go 12 teams, think about this here. How many regular season games do you cut out if you go to 12 teams? Because you can't overexert the physical strain and the mental strain on the bodies of these young athletes. So how many games do you cut out of the regular season? And on top of that, how many bowl games do you cut out? Because we're already seeing how the bowl system has been less valued due to if you're not in the top 4, people go, well, my season was trash anyway. My season was crap anyway. My season meant nothing anyway because I was not in the top 4. I was not among the top 4 seeds here in the playoffs, so why play in the bowl? But if you expand this to 12 teams, now you eradicate the bowl system altogether, and what that does is not every team is not going to be able to get into the college football play. Let's just be honest. Every team, there are some teams that will just never make the playoff no matter how much you slice it, no matter how much you try to make it appealing for everybody. Not every team is going to make the playoff. And with that being said, they need those bowl games to sell to their fans, their recruits, their program, their school, their entity. They need those bowl games. So if you remove the bowl system from those teams, what do they have to offer? They have absolutely nothing to offer there. So to me, I'm not saying, expansion bad, expansion bad, expansion bad. I'm all for inclusion. I'm all for getting as many people into the playoff as you possibly can to create even more excitement, even more entertainment to the game. But my thing is, if you're going to do this, you better count up all the cost and make sure you're doing this right and making sure you have no stone left unturned. That's all I'm saying. Now, when you get to the University of Alabama, Nick Saban, and the Crimson Tide, I honestly feel like people are trying to get this expansion because they want to see, can this be the thing that finally knocks Nick Saban out? Can this be the thing that finally knocks Alabama off the perch? Can this be the thing that finally phases Alabama out of the conversation? And if you feel that way, I am sad to bust your bubble right here, but Nick Saban is going to always be in the conversation. I mean, for so long, people have tried different tactics to boot him out of there, whether they've tried the tactic of whether they've tried the tactic of changing from the BCS to the college football playoff. It didn't work. Nick Saban, 3 national championships at Bama in the BCS, 3 national championships at Bama in the CFP. And when they tried, okay, let's go from just a traditional signing period in February and let's break it up into 2 signing periods. Nick Saban has grown to master that. Then the people said, hey, well, let's just take his coaches from him every year. He's mastered that, reloaded with bigger and better talent on the coaching staff each and every time. Then people said, okay, let's see if we can get them through the transfer portal. Bama's going to lose good players. Bama's going to lose top talent. They'll erode from that. Well, other programs have lost top talent also, but they've lost their top guys to Alabama, and Alabama has taken those top guys and has won conference championships, national championships, and have put those players respectively in the NFL draft. So no matter how these different programs and how these different powers that be in college football try to find different ways to complicate the game of sport on the field for Coach Saban, he always finds a way to work around it. So if you even expand to 6 teams, 8 teams, 12 teams in the CFP, Coach Saban is still going to find a way to work around the boomerang that you are trying to throw at him to limit what he wants to do, which is win national championships. So I'm all for expansion. I'm all for, hey, let's create some parity. Let's create some chaos. Let's get some new winners in here. Let's get some new teams in here. But my thing is, will it be done in a way to where you're doing right by the student athletes, you're doing right by the programs? We can have our excitement, but we can have it done in the right manner, because if it's already difficult for us trying to figure out the best 4 teams, adding 12 in here or adding 8 more to equal 12, good luck. But that takes us to our first break here on the show. Don't touch that dial. Just getting started. Upon our return, we get into a phone conversation with you, the Bama fans, right after this.
You're watching In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith, brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace today by visiting weownthefourthquarter.com. Throw them foes up. Every sports fan deserves the proper representation. Whitwell Sports introduces to you the Title Towel. Wave that Title Towel in the air like you just don't care, in support of Nick Saban and the Alabama Crimson Tide. Only $9.99, and it lasts a lifetime. Head on over to whitwellsports.com and get your Title Towel today.
Remember the taste of Grandma's delicious sweets? Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes brings back those precious memories with just one bite. Each cake made from scratch. They make the perfect dessert to share with family and friends for any occasion, and ordering is easy. Visit emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Click the online store and shop. Then pick up your fresh cake at the kitchen in downtown Homewood. Order yours online at emily'sheirloompoundcakes.com. Emily's Heirloom Pound Cakes, making memories from scratch.
And we are back into the action, folks. Back live on a Wednesday hump day. Number 1 forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine. Appreciate everybody for checking us out on today. Got to shout out Jimmy Clay again. Boom, bam, Jimmy Clay. That $26 donation into the Super Chats. Once again, people, that daily Super Chat goal, $75. Daily Super Chat go. Appreciate all of you for making this your show, your platform to get your Crimson Tide football fix. Just congratulations to Team 25, Bama softball, the girls, the young ladies. They fought their hearts out, just not meant to be. Just took a tough loss to Florida State in the national semifinals, lost 8-5. It was down by 8 runs, came back, made it a close, competitive game, but just could not finish the deal there. Proud of what Coach Patrick Murphy was able to get done this season, but looking forward to what the girls do in the years to come, especially another year with Montana Fouts there in the circle. But we're back in to take your calls. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. That is the number to let your voice be heard, 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. We grab a call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, Stephen M.
What's happening?
I do like the expansion of this football play. Well, I know you like it too. And I'm fine with 12. I totally agree with you on the cutting out regular season game, which is probably what will keep this from happening. That you can't, because the teams that have no chance of making the playoffs, they wouldn't want their regular season cut short because, well, that's less revenue for them. And you would, like you say, you would have to do that in order to accommodate these extra games in the postseason for the teams that do make the playoff. But college football is the second most popular sport in America, and it has the worst postseason of all the major sports in America. It has the most boring, most meaningless postseason, and it only 2 games matter at the end of the season, and that's the 2 games in the college football playoffs. The bowl games have already lost all their meaning. Like Nick Saban said, once you introduce a playoff, the bowls will lose their meaning. That Nick Saban once again shows why he's the smartest person in college football. Period. And with that prediction, he's absolutely right. The bowls have completely lost their meaning. So much to the fact that even the players don't want to play in them. Dan Mullen was right when he said that team that he fielded against Oklahoma, that wasn't his team. Half his players didn't play. That was not his team. And that was one of the major bowl games. Because reason why they didn't show up, it wasn't a playoff game. If this last bowl season, there was, I think, maybe 3 bowl games that was really worth my time watching. 2 of them included Alabama, of course. The rest of them were hardly worth watching. With the playoffs, with that expansion, if it had been 12, I would have had 12. I would have watched all 12 of them. I would have watched Oregon and Florida and Texas A&M. I would have watched Cincinnati and Georgia. I would have watched Oklahoma and Indiana. Meaning, all their players would have been there. They would have played. It would have been a better game and actually had meaning. But what we got now, like Nick Saban said, once we got to the playoffs, you got games now that half the players don't show up and half the stadiums are completely, even before COVID, those stadiums would have been empty because people don't show up for them. You make those, like you said, you make the earlier rounds home games for the teams that are highest ranked teams, and then when you get to the Final Four, then you go to the neutral site. And like you said, how you pick, it's a lot easier to pick from 12 teams than it is from 4. What you mean, team number 13? Come on, everyone knows. If Alabama was a 13th ranked team, that mean they would have lost 3 or 4 games. You're not a playoff team at that point. Even us Alabama fans will admit that about Alabama. So it is an easy thing to do as far as get a system. But what will keep it from happening? Like you said, you cannot expect these unpaid student athletes to play all these extra games. You would have to cut out at least 2 in the regular season. I think that would kill this whole thing. But once those teams who can't make the playoffs hear that, and that would kill it. But yeah, you can't, like you said, you cannot add all these extra games on these unpaid student athletes. You have to either take some games, you have to take the rest of the regular season games away. But it would make the postseason finally something where you got a lot of good games that the athletes want to play and the people want to watch.
Absolutely. Appreciate that call. They're coming from Robert out of Mobile. I mean, on my end, it's if you go 12, I feel like you would have to take maybe the top 4 seeds and have them have some sort of bye week. And then within the first couple of first few matchups, they can have the top seeds play at home. And then once you get deeper and deeper, then you can go to the neutral site games and rotate that whole ordeal. But we take a call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on?
What's going on, Carlos from Demopolis?
Hey, what's going on? What's going on, Charles? What's happening with you?
Nothing. I got a question about the playoffs.
Go ahead.
Is Alabama gonna make the playoff this year?
Alabama's going to make the playoff this year, Charles. Alabama, Charles, don't you worry. Bama and Nick Saban are going to make the playoff.
Is it going to be 12 teams?
I don't think it'll be 12 teams this year. I think it's just a discussion they're trying to have a format for. I think maybe 2 years from now, 3 years from now, it could be. But I think just right now that they're just having a discussion, a conversation about it.
All right. I just want to make sure. Thanks for taking my call. Roll Tide.
Appreciate that call there from Charles from Demopolis and also Robert from Mobile. It's a conversation right now, and it's interesting because, like I mentioned, I'm all for inclusion. I'm for expansion. I don't mind getting more of these teams in here. My thing is will there be a formula that the majority of the people will be happy with? Because, like I said, it's been difficult trying to get the best 4 teams in here. So now that you're at 12, you're putting more of a responsibility on the committee to make these moves. Hopefully it works out if it happens. Now, I would more so want to see expanding to 6 teams or 8 teams before we jump to 12, but it is what it is. We're going to go to a quick topic right here, and it's one Julio Jones. Same name, new number, new team, but same Julio. Julio Jones was traded on Sunday to the Tennessee Titans from the Atlanta Falcons. The Titans did not have to come off a first rounder for Julio. They came off a second rounder for 2022 and a fourth rounder for 2023, but they get Julio to put him with Derrick Henry, A.J. Brown, and one Ryan Tannehill. Now, A.J. Brown, he offered Julio number 11. He wanted to come off of it for Julio, but Jones turned it down, so Brown will keep 11. Julio will wear number 2. So here's a new opportunity. Julio Jones to make a different number popular. In high school at Foley, here in the South Alabama area at Foley, he wore number 82. And then at Alabama, he wore number 8. Made that number a big deal. Won a national championship with the Crimson Tide. And with the Falcons for 10 seasons, he wore number 11. Made that number very popular. So another opportunity for Julio to take, this number, have some big jersey sales off of that, but the biggest thing he's trying to do is to get the Titans deep playoff run, hopefully a Super Bowl run here in the picture, but happy there for Julio. Gotta shout out Mechanic, that $10 donation, the Super Chats. Appreciate that love. They're coming from Mechanic, helping us out here on the show. But we take a break right now, folks. Don't touch that down, because upon our return, we get into a conversation on Slade Bolden. He's been a gadget player, but now he is ready to be a big-time marquee contributor at wide receiver. He's been working his butt off here in the offseason, but can Slade hold off the young cats, the young bloods, the young guns? We'll talk Slade Bolden after this.
You know what we do at the start of the fourth quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the fourth quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football fourth quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
And we are back, folks. We are back in here from the break of number 1 forum for Bama football news. In my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith. Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Wednesday, hump day, number 1 forum for your Crimson Tide football fix here. And we get into a conversation on one Slade Bolden, of whom he's working his tail off this offseason. He's putting in a lot of grind in the Alabama indoor practice facility, and with the Crimson Tide, no more Judy, no more Ruggs, no more Smith, no more Waddle or Waddell or whatever he chooses to be referred to by, but no more Jalen Waddle out there on the field. You've got a fresh crop of receivers led by John Mechie, who's back for his junior season, the young man from Canada. But behind him, you got Slade Bolden. And the big question here, he's got a lot of young cats, a lot of young bloods, a lot of hungry young guys behind him. He's always been a very strong gadget player. He's always been an athletic guy, was explosive at West Monroe High School in Louisiana. At one point in time, this was the Gatorade Player of the Year from the state of Louisiana in 2017. But the question is, can Slade hold off these young hot-shot freshmen to be the number 2 guy in the receiver room? But not just that, can he be able to have a season where not only can he be productive in helping Bryce Young and helping the Crimson Tide win a national championship, go back-to-back national titles for the first time since 2011, 2012 seasons, but can he have a year where he can be a solid NFL draft pick, because we have seen the comparisons to him to Julian Edelman of the New England Patriots, Wes Welker, who played for that same team, and the Denver Broncos, also the Miami Dolphins, and Wes Welker's earlier years in pro football. So we've seen the comparisons going left and right there for Bolden. But can he have a season where not only does he meet those comparisons, but he has a big major productive season? And for a lot of you, the thought process has been, well, Slade's not fast enough, he's not quick enough, he's not, a burner, he doesn't have that get-up-and-go type of speed that we've become so used to when you talk, the Judys and the Ruggs and the Smiths and the Waddles and other players. Slade's just not that type of guy. And I understand he may not be, 4.3, 4.2 type speed, but he does provide you quickness. He does have some acceleration. He gives you the hands. He gives you the quality possession guy. And there were some moments last season where Slade Bolden truly stepped up, contrary to popular belief here. I mean, Slade, 24 catches, 270 yards. Called his first career touchdown pass in the national championship game against Ohio State. But if you look at the matchups against Arkansas, Tennessee, Florida, Notre Dame, and of course the Buckeyes, all of those games, Slade stepped up. He showed up. Number 18 did flash that he can get it done. And just starting this thing off of Tennessee, that was the game where, Waddle went down with the ankle injury early on. Slade went out there. I think he had maybe 6 to 7 catches for 96 yards, if I'm not mistaken, if I'm quoting that stat correctly. Now, a lot of you say, but Steven, he dropped that touchdown pass from Bryce Young, and you can't have those types of drops. Yes, you cannot have those types of drops. I get it. I feel you. I understand you on that. But even with that drop, he still stepped up in a moment where, one of your explosive playmakers go down, and you already had people going, well, no Jalen Waddle, Bama can't win a championship, they can't win a national, they can't have success, they can't be great, they can't be an elite offense without 17. There's no way that can happen. But we saw the likes of Slade Bolden, when his number was called, he went out there, he had success. Yes, he also had a fumble in the game. I get those that talk about that as well, and he's got to secure the ball better and things of that nature, and he will do that in this upcoming season. But along with Arkansas, if you go back and along with Tennessee, you go back and you watch the Arkansas game, he had 4 receptions in that matchup for 43 yards. All 4 of Slade's catches went for first downs, moving the chain, keeping the offense going, keeping your offense on the field, allowing your defense to rest a little bit more, continuing to build the confidence and the continuity of that offense. And that's a big deal. When you're able to convert 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 9, and you're running the right route, and you're getting open in the middle of the zone on defense, or you're finding the open space in the field, and you're showing your quarterback, you're showing your offensive coordinator, you're showing your head coach, hey, you target me, I'm going to make this catch. You target me, I'm getting to the ball. You're targeting me, I'm making sure that we're continuing to move forward here with this offense. So Slade did that against Arkansas. But you go down to Florida. He had 2 catches for 40 yards, but both of his catches resulted in what? First downs. Played a big role in helping Alabama getting that 52-46 win over the Gators in Atlanta, securing the SEC title. Then you look at Notre Dame. Slade had a few catches in that game. A lot of those receptions resulted in what? First downs, keeping the drive alive, keeping the chains moving, keeping the Alabama offense on the field, wearing down the Notre Dame defense that came in pretty highly regarded in that Rose Bowl matchup CFP semifinal. And then, of course, Ohio State had a few catches in that matchup, including his first career touchdown. So in saying all of this, Bolden has shown you if you need me on this field, I'm getting this done. If you need me on this field, I can make plays. If my number is called, I can go out there and make some things happen. And upon you guys watching the clip there on screen of, just him, Slade Bolden, working with Paul Tyson, you've seen how Slade's kind of shaked his head there a little bit. Now he really looks like Julian Edelman, but you see the speed. You see the speed. You see the footwork. You see the quick feet. You see the shiftiness. You see the change of direction. You see the route running. You're seeing Slade put a lot of his stuff together. That's what you're seeing. You're seeing the brother put a lot of his stuff together. And him being with Bill O'Brien this year, Coach O'Brien worked with Wes Welker, worked with Julian Edelman. He's not only a guy that is a quarterback developer and an offensive genius, O'Brien is, but he's also somebody that understands slot receivers. He's worked with a lot of very talented slot guys. Welker, Edelman, Will Fuller with the Houston Texans. He's worked with a lot of capable slot guys that can create separation off the line of scrimmage, read how the defensive backs is going to play or will play that particular receiver, and that guy's able to get upfield. Whether it's a bang 8 post route inside or a bang 7 post route outside or a slant and go or just a straight go route, straight fade, option routes, Bill O'Brien is able to coach those guys to perform and execute those aspects on the field. And not just O'Brien, when you also have a technician in Holman Wiggins, who's entering, I believe, his 3rd year, because he came in 2019. Wiggins entering his 3rd year as the Tide's wide receivers coach. He is really huge on being a technician in routes, using your weight, distributing your weight, coming in and out of the break, breaking the right way, cutting the right way, moving the right way, giving a defensive back a little move there, and then going to the opposite direction. Like Holman Wiggins really teaches this. This is the reason why we saw Judy go first round and Ruggs go first round and Smith and Waddle go first round, because Holman Wiggins really teaches the stuff. And then you look at a John Mechie, who has the opportunity, the possibility to be the next guy that can go first round if he continues to build off what he's done. So Slade Bolden's got a shot here. I know he's battling Javon Baker, Trayshawn Holden, Julio Jones-Bell, Christian Leary, JoJo Earl, Asia Hall, who had a freakish performance in the spring game. I understand he's battling all of these different guys to be the number 2 guy. But if you look at this, he's the oldest guy in the room. He's now going into his 4th season, redshirt junior year. He came in 2018 as a 3-star. So oldest guy in the room, knows the system, knows what's expected of him, knows what he has to do, and he's finally comfortable in a place where he doesn't have to focus on coming in being a wildcat quarterback. He has to have to focus on coming in and doing other things within the offense aside from being a wide receiver and a return man. This is the first year where he can truly just be wide receiver, whether it's X, whether it's Z, whether it's the slot, and being a return man, kickoff return, punt return. So expect to see a Bolden that's going to be a huge asset. Expect to see a Bolden, a player that's going to be a major factor, a major card here in this room at the wide receiver position. Very excited to see what Slade does here in the upcoming season. But we take another break here on the show. Don't touch that dial, because when we return, we jump back into the phone lines to take your questions, your thoughts, your concerns. We talk Bama football with you, the Tide Nation, after this.
Don't touch that dial. Call in right now, as we're taking your calls up next on In My Own Words with Stephen M. Smith. Brought to you by We Own the Fourth Quarter. Visit weownthefourthquarter.com now to get your 4-finger bling necklace. You know what we do at the start of the 4th quarter. We throw them foes up. But now you don't have to wait until the 4th quarter. Get your 4-finger bling necklace at weownthefourthquarter.com. It's the first and only logo that captures the essence of all Crimson Tide players and fans as we represent the legendary Alabama football 4th quarter dominance. Get your 4-finger bling necklace right now at weownthefourthquarter.com. Get yours today and stun on them haters. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide.
All right, people, we are back in, folks. Back in from the break of a number one form, number one ticket here for Crimson Tide football news. And my own word, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Wednesday hump day. Happy to have everybody in here checking out the show. And before we get into the phone lines to take your calls, we have another donation from Jimmy Clay. One more time, another $26. Boom, baby, bam, baby. Jimmy Clay in the room. That daily super chat goal of $75 has been met. Appreciate the love that's coming from Jimmy Clay and all of you supporting the show, supporting the channel. Appreciate you guys. But we're back to the phone lines here, 205-448-1358. Call segment brought to you by the Blue Wrench Gang, 205-448-1358. We grab a call right now. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hey, good afternoon. I just turned in your show. Love your enthusiasm. Love your insight. I got two quick questions. Number
Go
one,
ahead.
I'm a Texas Longhorn fan, and Texas has just landed a young man by the name of Keelan Robinson out of the transfer portal, and they also took on Ben Davis. My question to you is this: what exactly is Texas getting by these two transfers?
Well, number one, Keelan Robinson, you're getting a very explosive running back, fast in space, tough. He's tougher than what he's given credit for between the tackles, but fast in space, can catch the ball in the backfield. You're getting an elite, versatile back in Keelan Robinson. In terms of Ben Davis, you're getting somebody with talent, but at times you don't quite know where Ben's work ethic, mental is at times. I mean, at Bama, came in as a five-star guy from a small school, Gordo High School here, in the Tuscaloosa area, but just did not really materialize at Bama. Maybe he does something in Texas, but just at Bama, just never materialized.
See, my hope here is this, that the Pete Kwiatkowski defense and the way he develops players, I'm hoping, and I'm really counting on Ben Davis. I was excited that he transferred to Texas because the guy's got all the tools. Now, granted, he's at Alabama and he's behind all these five stars, and I get that. But I still think, hopefully, that this is his year to kind of reach down and do a little soul searching and go, if I'm going to go to the NFL, I'm fixing to have to put everything on the line right here. And as far as Keelan Robinson goes, question the other day, is he related to Bijan Robinson? But having Bijan Robinson and Keelan Robinson as a 1-2 punch behind that Sark offense that loves to run the ball, I think Texas just improved their status as far as getting into the Big 12 and challenging Oklahoma.
Now, I'm not sure if Keelan is in any relation to Bijan. Probably not sure. But one thing about it, having Keelan on that roster, he is going to be a phenomenal running back wherever you put him on the field. But we definitely appreciate that call. Texas did get a big booster adding Keelan Robinson to the roster. We take another call right here. You're live on the show. What's going on?
Hi, Stephen. Bill from New York City. Listen,
we got Bill in the building. What's going on, man?
Your show just keeps on getting better. It's unbelievable. It's so cool. But I want to talk about this expansion of the championship games. See, the players, they're already taking a big risk with every game they play, injury in terms of losing millions of dollars, right? So I think if they're going to expand the playoffs, they should eliminate at least one game from the schedule. I even think they should eliminate conference championship games because they're almost the same thing. And if they do that, if they think that's going to hurt Alabama, it's going to help us. Who does Clemson play when they're playing for a title? Some nobody? We got to play Georgia. We got to play all these good teams. And I don't think there's much they could do to stop us. And I was wondering what you think about that.
I mean, like I mentioned, Bill, I'm all for expanding the playoff, especially if we can have a format where everybody, not everybody, but the masses can basically agree with. If it ends up being 12, would it be something where we have the top 4 teams all get a bye? If you take out the conference championship games, how quickly do we start playing the playoff? Do you remove some games from the regular season? So there would be a lot of moving pieces that Bill Hancock and that committee would have to do, but we'll see what happens. It's a conversation right now. We appreciate Bill from New York, though, from that call, talking about the possibility of expanding the playoff. As always, people, 205-448-1358. Encourage your calls. Encourage the conversation right here. 205-448-1358. And one more time, 205-448-1358. Want to hear from you as we're talking your Crimson Tide, a little bit of college football playoff expansion. Should it happen? Should it not happen? And other things of that nature. But as we get into the topic right now, Bo Scarbrough, talk about a fan favorite. Bo Scarbrough will be hosting a youth football clinic in Tuscaloosa at Central High School on Saturday, July the 10th. I'm going to try to make that camp. It's a youth football clinic, Saturday, July 10th. Bo Scarbrough, Central High School in T-Town. He's trying to get more athletes, more young men from the Tuscaloosa area to be successful in the realm of athletics, especially in football. Scarbrough being a Tuscaloosa native himself, huge prospect, at Northridge High School prior to playing his final year of high school ball at IMG Academy down there in Florida. We know the story. He comes to Alabama, 2015. Didn't have a lot of opportunities, but 2016, the brother blew up. I mean, he was a battering ram, Scarbrough was, and that 2016 CFP semifinal game against Washington for Chick-fil-A Peach Bar. Remember, Joe Tessitore saying, and look at Bo go. They can't catch him. Scarbrough, touchdown, Bama. Like Scarbrough just went off in that game. 19 carries, 180 yards, 2 touchdowns, broke records. And I remember after that game, I was in the locker room talking to Lester Cotton, another Tuscaloosa native, and Cotton at 6'4", 315 pounds, sitting here crying, going, man, Steve, bruh, that was the old Bo. That was Bo from Northridge, man. Bo went out there and did that thing. I knew Bo was going to do it. I was just wait. I was like, Cotton, man, brother, have you some Puffs Plus, please. Stop crying on my shirt. I mean, that's the Cotton. Big dude over here crying, but they were just proud of the way that Scarbrough performed. And to this day, for a lot of you as Tide fans, you think if Bo did not get hurt in the second CFP national title game against Clemson featuring Deshaun Watson, Alabama beats the Tigers in that matchup because Scarbrough was going off. He had 2 rushing touchdowns in the first quarter of that game, if I'm not mistaken, had like 93 yards rushing, was just killing Clemson. Unfortunately, got hurt there and missed the remainder of the game, and it all went down in one foul swoop there. But Bo Scarbrough will have his youth football clinic Saturday, July 10th in T-Town Central High School. Got Scott out. We got to shout out Scott Sheridan. One time, Scott Sheridan, that $20 donation to the Super Chats, helping us out here on the show. Appreciating you guys, the love, the joy, the support you're showing us here on In My Own Words, Touchdown Alabama Magazine. We take a break right now, folks, but upon our return, we'll get into Alabama continuing to schedule these quality home-and-home matchups. Nick Saban continuing to prove that he can schedule tough matchups for his team to open seasons of college football. We'll discuss that after this.
If you're an avid Alabama Crimson Tide fan and you love to flaunt it, then show your Alabama Crimson Tide support by grabbing the All Bama sneakers. They feature bold Crimson Tide graphics, so no one will be able to question where your allegiance lies. When you add these sweet sneakers to your Alabama Crimson Tide collection, go to stsfootwear.com and use the code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. That's code TDAlabama for $15 off your purchase. Go to stsfootwear.com and get your All Bama sneakers today. Touchdown Alabama Magazine is Alabama football's premier publication. A subscription to Touchdown Alabama Magazine is the perfect gift for any Alabama fan. For exclusive news and information, recruiting updates, a free annual print magazine, and more, go to touchdownalabama.com and click join. Only $7.95 per month, or pay $74.95 for a full year subscription. That's a yearly saving of $20. Go to touchdownalabama.com today and roll Tide. Thank you for tuning in. Show your support right now by clicking that like button. If you haven't subscribed, hit the subscribe button now and enable all notifications to make sure you don't ever miss any of the best Alabama football news, notes, and information right here on Touchdown Alabama.
As we are back into the action here, folks, from the break of number one form for Crimson Tide football news, in my own words, yours truly, Stephen Smith of Touchdown Alabama Magazine on a Wednesday hump day. Before we get into the final topic of conversation, got to remind you of TDAwear.com. That's TDAwear.com. So for all of you fans still overjoyed with the Crimson Tide's national championship, we want you guys to check out our championship collection merch. Now that means you grab you an 18 of them thing, folk, hoodie, t-shirt, or sweatshirt, as well as our Got 18 We Do shirts. Designs that feature all 18 championship years on the back. You head over to TDAwear.com. Do it right now. TDAwear.com. You go to that Championship Collections merch tab, and you grab you that gear. You grab you those shirts today, showing that support for Coach Saban, the University of Alabama, the student athletes, and us here at TDA. You already know I have to do my job. I got me my gear. I got my TDA shirt, my 18 of them things, folk t-shirt. Got that right there, courtesy of TDA. So if I got mine, go get yours. Show that support there for your football program. But we get on now to the final topic of conversation, and Coach Saban, Greg Byrne, all the powers that be for the football program here at Alabama, doing a fine job of scheduling these quality home matchups to open these respective seasons. I mean, all the time, U.S. Tide fans, you get the same thought: who has Alabama played? Bama ain't played nobody. They haven't faced nobody. They haven't gone against anybody worth considering, worth merit, worth talking about. But year by year, Nick Saban, Greg Byrne, they put it together where you open up your season, or you have quality teams scheduled on your slate of teams to play, and it's nothing different this time around. Now, the big announcement that came today was Alabama has opened a home series with Boston College. They'll play BC 2031 and 2034. 2031, Alabama will travel to face BC. 2034, BC will travel to Tuscaloosa to face the Crimson Tide. Now, BC is a good matchup. Now, would I have scheduled BC as a home? Probably not. I mean, Boston College hasn't really been major relevant since Matt Ryan back in 2008. I mean, BC's a good program, but they haven't been like big relevant since 2008, Matt Ryan. So I probably would have had Clemson as a home there, or maybe a team that brings more so cachet to the yard, but it is what it is. Now, along with Boston College, when you look at just the matchups that Alabama will have from 2022 or from this upcoming season facing Miami, through 2035. You look at it here, you're going to face Miami and Atlanta to open up this upcoming season. But then you got Texas 2022 and 2023, and people are really excited about the Texas matchup. Nick Saban versus Steve Sarkisian. You're going up against Keelan Robinson and Ben Davis, and you're going up against a whole bunch of these other guys, two big story-filled programs as Texas is trying to grab back relevancy. And then you got South Florida 2023 and 2024 in there. You got Wisconsin 2024, 2025. You got Florida State 2025 and 2026. You got West Virginia in there and Ohio State in there and Oklahoma in there and Oklahoma State in there and Arizona in there and Virginia Tech in there. A lot of quality teams in here. And these home-and-home series is for the Crimson Tide. Now, for me, aside from Texas, everybody is psyched for Texas. People are psyched for Miami, too, don't get me wrong, because you haven't played Miami since the 1993 Sugar Bowl off a 1992 season to win a national championship, and people, Bama Nation wants to shut up Miami fans again. So you want to play Miami, but right after that, Texas has got everybody's attention because it's Saban, it's Sarkisian, it's Longhorn, it's Crimson Tide. It's two big programs going head-to-head there on the field. People are excited for that. But to me, this matchup between Oklahoma State, the home and home between Bama and Oklahoma State, that's going to be very intriguing because I always wanted to go up against Mike Gundy. I always wanted to go up against the mullet. I always wanted to go up against the man that started the rant. Come at me. I'm a man. I'm 40. I always wanted to see the Crimson Tide play against Oklahoma State. And we're going to have a chance to see this here in our lifetime. So that's going to be fun. That's going to be interesting. So I like Oklahoma State. Naturally, I do like the home-and-home series with Ohio State. They've got a passionate fan base. They've got a tremendous offensive-minded head coach in Ryan Day. After Alabama, Ohio State's always one of those recruiting powers in college football, always in the top 3 to 5 in recruiting. That they always seem to bring massive talent in. Ohio State is always a team that wins the Big Ten more times than not, even though, Michigan fans are still saying, give Jim Harbaugh a chance. Don't give up faith on Harbaugh. We believe Harbaugh can do. Look, Harbaugh is having a difficult time beating Penn State, Wisconsin, Ohio State, Northwestern, Iowa, teams in his own darn conference. So if Jim Harbaugh is having a tough time beating teams in his own conference, we know. We know it's a challenge of him trying to get in the college football playoff. We know it ain't going to be any time soon that we're going to see Jim Harbaugh in the college football playoff. But, I digress from that statement. It's good to take on Ohio State. In the home-and-home series, that's going to be fun right there. It's going to be fun taking on Oklahoma, going up against Lincoln Riley, the offensive mind that he is, and the players that he continues to recruit and put together and have success with. That's going to be fun. South Florida will be intriguing. I mean, South Florida to me, not really much there, but it is a good program, so that may have some fun. That may have some interest. Wisconsin, for 2024 and 2025, you're going up against Paul Chryst. And, Paul Chryst, underrated coach. I give Paul Chryst his. He's a good coach, strong coach, solid coach, really good coach. He tends to bring in quality talent. I understand Wisconsin is more of a 2-star and a 3-star program, and you have to really grind it out with those guys. Now, they may get fortunate every now and again. They'll grab a 4-star and they'll grab a 5-star that normally they wouldn't get, but more times than not, they get the 2 and the 3 stars, and they develop them and they grow them and they become special. J.J. Watt, among other guys. So there's Wisconsin. And, of course, you got FSU on here. In the future, Alabama will be taking on Coach Mike Norvell, and hopefully he can fix up the mess that Jimbo Fisher left there at the end. And poor Willie Taggart. I mean, the brother tried, but just couldn't do it. Just could not do it at Florida State. And then you got the place where they burn couches, West Virginia, Morgantown. the place where they burn couches. So you got West Virginia on that home and home list as well. So Nick Saban, Greg Byrne, Board of Trustees, Alabama, finding just different ways to incorporate these home and home series where you are getting good teams. You are facing good teams. You're facing quality teams. And now, once again, people, I have to remind you of this. Nick Saban and Alabama, they are scheduling these teams years in advance based off perception. The perception is that this team is going to be good. Now, when Alabama faces this team and this team ain't nowhere near good, you can't get mad at Alabama for that because they're scheduling these teams based off the perception. Perceiving West Virginia is going to be good. Perceiving Oklahoma is still always going to be good. Perceiving Ohio State is still always going to be good. Perceiving that these teams are going to be good. Now, if these teams fall off a cliff and they go to Never Land like Peter Pan, and they ain't good no more, you cannot sit there and blame Alabama for that just due to they scheduled this years in advance off the perception of that team going to be good. But still cool having that home and home series there. But as always, folks, you want the best in news, notes, information, commentary on your favorite program, that being the Crimson Tide. You can get this by accessing the Touchdown Alabama magazine app. You can download the app from the iPhone App Store if you're rocking Team Apple, Google Play Store if you got the Android phone. For your audio listening needs, we got you covered right here. iTunes or Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, Spreaker, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, Overcast.fm, or iHeartRadio. Got you going on right there. If the good and gracious Lord sees fit, I will return on Friday, continuing the conversation that is Bama football. As always, Tide fans, you can purchase individual copies of Touchdown Alabama magazine. Have those sent to your door. That link will be found in the description. Also, if you're trying to get that new copy, that fresh copy, that print copy of Touchdown Alabama magazine, you go to touchdownalabama.com, you click join, become a member, a subscriber today. That link will be found in the description. And also, if you're trying to get your hands on that four-finger bling necklace, four-finger bling jewelry, courtesy of our guys at weownthefourthquarter.com, that link in the description as well. But until next time, folks, husbands love your wives. Wives appreciate, value those husbands. Children continue doing the right thing, fun thing, smart thing, good thing, legitimate thing. To not be bored. You get you those 3 hearty meals a day, those 3 great laughs a day. You protect yourself. You protect the loved ones around you. Till next time, folks, spit in my own words.